Hey everybody, welcome to First Look for Wednesday. I'm Rome Hartman. If you look across the room here, you'll see Katie Couric and Katie Boyle and Amy Birnbaum working hard on a story for tonight, which you'll want to tune into, but which is also an explanation for why it's me and not Katie doing this, because she's working harder than I am and busier than I am. Got a lot of interesting stuff going on in the broadcast tonight. We have a new CBS News poll, CBS News New York Times poll. On voter attitudes. Here we are 6 days before the election. This is our last national poll before the election, and really interesting indications of which way the political winds are blowing. I think there's really interesting, and I suppose what would both parties or both Democrats and Republicans and their fans can probably find something to be hopeful about in tonight's poll. But Bob Schieffer will be here with Katie tonight to sort through some of those numbers and try to make sense out of where the political, what the political situation looks like a week or so before the election. Also, there's an interesting one little number I'll give you in advance that's in the poll. It says that about a third of American voters are concerned about whether or not their vote is going to be counted and counted accurately, which I find a really striking result. And Armin Katayan, our investigative correspondent, has been looking at the fact that about 80% of Americans are going to use electronic voting. This is a very new thing here, and something that is going to be like a trial run. So he's been looking into the degree to which different states and different counties are ready and prepared with their electronic voting systems. And there's an interesting dynamic that Armin points out in his story, which is that it's not just about whether the technology is going to work, but whether the people who are in charge of the polls will really understand how these machines work. I don't know about you, but my experience when I go to vote are that I've seen the same people at my polling place every time I voted for the last 20 years. These are the great volunteers who man these polling stations, and many of them are I don't want to say senior citizens, but people who have the time to be able to volunteer and sit there all day, many retirees. And there's a big question around the country as to whether those people, the election officials around the country, have spent enough time and money to adequately train those people to operate what are very new and in some cases quite complicated voting machines. So I think that's an interesting story from Armin. We have a story from Anthony Mason about continuing softness in the housing market, and then the story that Katie and the gang are working on across the way, which is a story that's going to be of tremendous interest to women, and it's about women's health issues. So that's a tease. I'm not going to give you any more than that, but you want to tune in and watch that. All right, thanks everybody.